Hello, Deepika.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you. Can you make it a bit larger, your frame?
Actually, sir, I'm using my phone because again that problem was occurring from my laptop.
Okay, no
So,
problem. No problem. Okay. Deepika, the Indian society is going through a transformation. Uh, there is recognition for activities which were hitherto a taboo, like homosexuality, living in relationship, surrogate motherhood. Now, all these things, where are these taking us into? Because we are not only accepting them socially, we are also legalizing it. So, my question is, where does all these take us into? Your reflections.
so these activities, these are an example of modern concept, and from somewhere this is coming from the Western ideologies also. And in my opinion, since India is an evolutionary society, and we are also moving towards our aim of inclusivity, it is very important to accept these social changes. And slowly, I believe that in the gradually India's society will be able to accept these broad changes that are coming in.
These things are happening in Western society, so we have to accept it, you say. Is that the logic?
No, sir, I believe that slowly and gradually we have been adopting the concept of rationalization and modernizing also, because India has remained a traditional society for a very long time, and now it is the time that we gradually evolve ourselves and adopt to these modern ideas, wherein human rights are prevailing and taking supremacy slowly.
Very good. You brought in two important points. One is evolving ourselves and human rights. This is individual rights, personal liberty to do the way they want to do things. But most important, as you pointed out, is we are evolving.
Yeah.
What do you think of the reservation policy? During our evolvement, are we not going backwards by adopting a reservation policy for more than 75 years? Why? What's wrong with our society and economy?
So, India was an underdeveloped country when British left us during independence, and we were having a 37 crore population. And right now, we are a developing country, and we are around 137 crore population. And the government somewhere has not been able to bring all the sections of the society together, and is not being able to uplift them equally. And that is why the affirmative actions and various reservation policies have been introduced, so that all those sections that has remained deprived for a longer period can equitably come forward and uplift themselves through the measures that government has introduced.
Good. You said it is an affirmative action. Yes, it is an affirmative action. Socially deprived people have not received the economic justice yet or equality. That is why all these measures, and we will have to look at it as a purely welfare measure, not as vote bank politics. There are some policies which are based on vote bank politics, but this is not vote bank politics. This is a measure which is required for uplifting the society and economy. You can add that also. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And when we look at the global scenario, what do you think about the presidential election in the USA?
Uh, Sir, it is in news that it is most probably seen that Donald Trump can come to power, and slight policy changes can be expected if the regime changes. And it is mostly said that the assistance that was given to Ukraine, the defense equipments and the war assistance that was given will be withdrawn in case the Donald Trump power.
Tell me something. Trump, out of all presidents of the United States in our living memory, turned out to be the most hated man outside the US. But within US, Trump is really trumping to victory. What could be the reason for that?
So, in my understanding, Trump's assertiveness and the policy approach that were quite rigid when we talk about foreign policy that he took when he was in rule. However, within the country, it was more liberal. That is the one I can recall as of now.
When we look at the security threats and the security scenario in India, can you give me a quick assessment? What are our country's security threats? How do you visualize them and what is the way out?
So security threats from the neighboring countries, right from the Pakistan, we will start. We are having terrorism issues, cross-border terrorism, and even use of drones are taking place for transfer of various uh, defensive items that are illegal. And apart from that, then if we move towards from Afghanistan, as such, we do not have any such issue in the border areas as of now, because most of the trafficking is happening through Pakistan only, trafficking and terrorism both. And coming to the China part, we are having border issues. The demarcation of the border is not very much accurate, and because of that, we also had the 2020 Galwan clashes. And moving towards the Myanmar region, sir, presently we have introduced the scrapping of the free movement regime because of the coming in of the refugees that are also aggravating the Manipur violence to some extent. And Arakan army is also now taking up those area, and they are more apprehensive towards India as a country. And so, apart from that, if we move towards the Bangladesh region, again we have issue of trafficking, human trafficking, animal trafficking as well. Cross-border terrorism and influx of the Rohingya refugees is an issue. From Nepal, sir, the common issues of trafficking and the illegal commodities are being coming in from the Nepal region, and refugee issue is also there from the Nepal. However, from Bhutan, as such, we are not having any kind of internal security issues. And so, from Sri Lanka, also the fisherman issue is there for now. The arresting of the Indian Tamil Nadu fisherman took place by the Sri Lankan army lately. And sir, these are some countries for internal security we have issues.
Most important development you have omitted. It may not be a security threat, but it can turn out to be a security threat. Suddenly,
Maldives,
one of our neighbors is trying to turn out to be a foe.
the Maldives, because of the regime change, the Maldives can actually act as a military base of China, and it is also a very strategic location, which in long term will be very harmful for India if China takes over that place. It forms a very major part of sea lines of communication as well. So that is why India has to be very much. India has to ensure good relation with Maldives for a longer term.
What do you think of the northeastern states of India? How is the economy? And what are the political pressures from that region of the country? Because for Indians, that area is cut off economically, culturally, politically. India, we all think that it is India minus the Northeast, most neglected area. What do you think are the real problems, and in what way we can align it with the main elements in the Indian polity and the Indian economy?
So the northeastern part has deprived of integration for a very longer period. And right from the colonial rule, they were excluded, and the foreign policies of the Britishers as well, they were very there were a lot of atrocities taking place against the tribal people that were residing in the northeastern part, and the very potential of the northeastern part was not realized because because of the terrain, sometimes because of the people who are tribal, they were very reluctant to integrate with the society. The present problems that are there is the lack of integration that we talk about, because it is a very separate part, not in mainstream India. And so, secondly, the developmental issues are there. The issues of Naxalism as well as the extremist tendencies are very much present. They want to get separated from India and form a different territory. For example, that recently we just had an agreement with ULFA in order to integrate them. So these are the common issues that most of the northeastern state have. Apart from that, so we also have the ethnic conflict that took place in the Manipur area. So as a solution, what we can do is, first we can in line with the agreement that we had, ULFA. We can have peace agreements with other extremist group also. We can understand, bring them to consensus and understand what are their demands, what kind of development they require, what are the areas they want to uplift themselves from. So the government can make interventions in that aspect. Sir, apart from that, the ethnic conflicts that are taking place, it is important that government remains very much efficient. The administrative inefficiency was the main reason why conflicts took place. So for this also, deliberation and bringing them to the table to have proper dialogues is very much important. And sir, thirdly, I would say uh, representation of these people in the state assemblies is important, of the tribal people, so that they know what they want and they can make policies for themselves. So these are few solutions we can put forward.
Now, you research paper on ethical workplace culture. Have you
Yes.
visited any office for any citizen services
Sir, latest I have visited to the transport of RTO office for license.
or are the procedures user friendly?
So to an extent, it was user friendly. However, there were issues like people were not on their tables, and there was delay in completion of the task. And though they were present, they were not very much dedicated towards customer service. These were some of the issues.
What is the general complaint of citizens when they visit a government office?
So
Ordinary citizens, yes.
the delay in the completion of their works is and improper behavior of the employees is also one of the issues people face.
And how do we contain that problem?
So in the modern society, it is very important to include digital uh, tools in order to solve people's problem and to provide last mile delivery of the services. So a combination of and introduction of digital technology in order to get or provide services to people at their homes is very much important. This will also reduce the kind of discrimination that people are facing at the public offices. And all those areas or work where the officials are required, we can always have them. We can not use digital there. However, at these places, for example, getting of paying your bills or getting your tax uh, deducted, or uh, anything regarding tax as well, we can use digital technology, I believe.
One of your interests is diary writing. Have you heard the diary of a young girl
Yes, sir. It was written by Anne Frank.
written
And
by
Anne Frank.
Anne Frank? What is this about, this diary? Why it became so famous?
So Anne was basically, she was hiding from the Nazi rule that was present, Hitler, and she was escaping from them. She was living with her eight members of her family in a basement of a particular building. So at that time, she started writing diary, and in her diary, she wrote about how regular bombings and shellings are taking place near her home, how she's able to escape from them. Also, she wrote about her personal life, wherein she did not have very much good relations with her mother and sister, so she was unable to express herself, and that is why she used to write diary. And at last, when she passed away, her father published this diary at the end. So
Did she write about the Nazi atrocities?
yes, sir. She used to write about the bombing and regular shellings that used to happen near her house, and how people were not, the Jews were taken to concentration camps, when they were caught.
Yeah, the
So
persecution of the Jews, the Jews in Europe, the way they were persecuted. I mean, that was the main focus. Okay.
yes, sir.
And in how many languages this was translated, this diary?
I'm not sure, sir.
70.
Mm.
Almost all world's languages this was translated.
Yes.
And are you writing a diary in such a way that it is going to be translated into some other languages too?
Sir, I'm writing my diary very occasionally, and mostly it involves personal information as well as my memories. So it is not very formal that it can get published. It's more of a personal record.
Diary cannot be formal. Then it is not a diary, it's a document writing. Diary is always, you write a diary when you get excited,
Yes.
when you are reflective, and you write very freely. You don't write formally your diary. I hope your diary has all these three elements:
Yes.
excitement, reflection, and free flow. Can you quote from any passage in your diary which you have written recently on anything?
So recently, I have written about all my experiences that I have been during this interview journey, all the mocks that I've given, and how I have to remain optimistic despite various feedbacks that I've got. And I have to trust myself, and till the last day, I have to be very much sure that I'm going to give my best. So this is that optimistic. Uh, it is a kind of advice that I was giving to myself in the diary while I wrote it.
Okay. What are the push factors which will take the Indian economy to uh, the heights as far as the global economy is concerned? The push factors. Can you name them? Even bullet points are good enough. You don't have to explain to me.
So first, I will say the manufacturing capabilities that we are developing into PLI into various sectors which are very potential. For example, pharmaceutical, the toy industry, the steel industry. So we are understanding the potential areas, and then we are doing a production incentive we are giving for manufacturing purpose. So second, I will say the tourism area is very much highly potential in India, and this will see a huge revenue generation in the future. And for an example, we can have Ayodhya as well, which was not known earlier. Now it is known a lot. It is getting a huge private investment because of the uh, recent celebration consecration of the temple that happened. Third, sir, I would say the formalization of economy is highly required as of now. India is an informal economy, and the government is required to formalize it by doing financial inclusion, by doing digital inclusion, and skilling of the people as well, and bringing them to the formal economy. So, apart from that, investing into the green energy is something India is highly aiming for. The Panchamrit pledges that the Prime Minister has done. Apart from that, the introduction of PM Suryodaya scheme as well is something that reflects how we are ambitious towards transitioning our energy into a green sector.
Okay,
Green.
good. You have covered most of the push factors. What are the pull factors which doesn't allow India to grow the way we want?
So, some of the pull factors will be uh, first will be the agricultural sector because huge population is dependent upon it, and also agriculture contribution towards GDP is merely 15 to 17%. And while more than 40% of the population is dependent on it, the government is required to look into this particular area. Why there is less productivity and efficiency despite having a lot of population into it. So second will be the inequality and poverty that is still present in India. Though there is people are taking part, the labor force participation is good. There is a huge inequality between classes, between castes, between gender, and various other dimensions as well. This should end. So, thirdly, regional imbalance in development is present, as we talked about, like in the northeastern sector. There is not proper consideration of the potential of that area. We should take that into consideration, and even other states like Madhya Pradesh and which has remained deprived, they should also develop equally like other states.
District collector, district magistrate, and a group of women come to you rushing, saying that there are certain atrocities committed against us. When I say us, women, and we dare not complain because our men folk do not allow us to talk about it. But all these atrocities in the village are committed by men. The moment such a complaint is coming from people who are affected, directly affected, what will be your reaction? As a district head,
So, this situation reflects that that particular village is still suffering from the notion of patriarchy, and it is widely present, and the people have not accepted the social changes that larger society have gone through. And as a district magistrate, I will make sure that their complaints are taken into the police stations, and I will assist them in complaining against it. So, secondly, I will make sure that the panchayats or the local authorities that are present there, why are they not able to take up uh, or discuss this matter at the gram panchayat levels, so that uh, influence can be made into the mind of people, because it is very important that we sensitize them through the local authorities, through those people who understand them. So panchayat head, if they talk to men about these problems and sensitize them regarding uh, the violence they are doing against women, then maybe uh, some changes, behavioral changes can be brought into their head. So thirdly, it is very important that women realize about their rights and about what all measures they can take in order to save themselves from all these atrocities. So, telling women about all the rules, all the schemes that are available for them, they can economically empower them and come out of any such sort of relation in case that is hurting their health or is very much violent against them. These are few steps that I can take.
okay. There is another complaint that in your own office, whenever we go to submit petitions, whenever we go to pay the revenue cess or the motor vehicles tax or the property tax, people demand speed money at the counter to get the job done. And this complaint comes from a social activist. What will be your reaction? And he is revealing his identity. It's not an anonymous complaint. He has come to you in person during one of the visiting timings and complained to you. This is what is happening in your own office, sir or madam.
So here, first is recognizing all those people who are involved in this, who are taking money from the general public and which is outside the ambit of law. If they are illegally taking money like as a bribe, then recognition of these people is important, and penalizing them under the rule is very important, so that it will create a deterrence among all the other people also who have even given a thought of taking bribe. So, secondly, it is very important to generate an ethical workplace culture. So, I will ensure that these people, all the people who are there within the organization, they are getting proper ethical guidance training, and they should be told about what is that any kind of illegal practice or taking of or getting involved in corruption or taking bribe will not be tolerated, will not be given any sort of uh, uh, liberal action, and rather they will be penalized and punished heavily if they are getting involved in this. And so thirdly, it is very important to gain the trust of the public, so with by convincing the public that such practice uh, will not be repeated again, and giving us so this kind of promise and having proper interaction with the people directly, I believe we'll be able to stop.
Will you go and check yourself at the counter whether such things are taking place?
So these practices can we can disguise ourselves and check if in case these practices are taking place. Also, installation of CCTV cameras can take place in the counters to understand the behavioral activity of all the officials, public officials that are present.
And Deepika, why civil service? Why didn't you opt for corporate or teaching assignments in university or with your qualification, a bank, things like that? Why did you choose the civil service as your best option?
Sir, after completion of my graduation, when thinking about the future course of action, I've gone through this particular option as well. And I realized that this is a particular job profile that will help us, that will let us work in various domains. Each and every job that is present within the civil services is very diverse in nature. And this is directly affecting the lives of the people. We are able to contribute to an extent to in changing the lives of the people. And so, secondly, also, it is a very early leadership opportunity that I will be getting. Whereas if I'm entering into the corporate area, I will not be getting these opportunity in early level. I will have to wait for a very longer time. So these are a few reasons why I'm more inclined towards civil services.
Have you met any civil servant who has joined the service recently in the field? Have you met?
Yes, sir. There is one of the officers. He's into revenue service, and he's also giving interview this time. So I met him.
Okay. What are the few takeaways on COVID management in the country? Can you list them? Few. There are plenty, but I want you to list a few.
So the very immediate and initial step was introduction of lockdown in order to reduce the further spread of uh, the pandemic, the infection. So secondly, the government has given all the incentives, whether it is stimulus package or other financial incentives to help the public uh, to fulfill their basic necessities. For example, the Pradhan Mantri Anna uh, Anna Kalyan Yojana for food grains that was given. And also Swanidhi scheme was given to the street vendors, 10,000 rupees was given. So all this economic and social security was provided by the government. So thirdly, vaccination coverage was very important so that any future spread of the infection can stop, and we can also work in reviving back the economy and getting back to our work. These were steps, the key takeaway.
Okay. Okay, Deepika, the interview part is over. Now we'll get into the feedback about your
Yes.
performance. I think I told you last time also, you have to exert more on the body language. Maybe you have the same restriction holding the mic in hand. So you are not able to display much, but you should. Very important, because that will indicate that you are forceful.
So
It is
actually, I was
not.
doing my hand movement from down, like it is not
Okay,
visible, but my
maybe
hand
I'm
movement.
not able to observe, but that's very, very important. I was not able to observe, because that's why I said to make it larger, but I think you have a technical problem in that. That's very, very important. The other thing is, it looks like a one-way conversation. You are not involving me in the dialogue, in the sense, uh, you're not showing that pitch in your voice. It is same tone. How do you say Sarigama Padani?
So there are different pitches to it.
Tell me, Sarigama Padani, how do you say?
Sir, sari gama padani, like that.
See, you have the Avaroham and the Aroham, the high pitch and the low pitch. Same. Then what happens? I will be more attentive to listen to you, because you are raising the pitch where it is required. You're keeping it at the medium pace, and you are also lowering the pitch. It requires a little bit of voice culture,
Yes.
which comes by practice, not very difficult. Um, Develop. You can raise voice, absolutely no problem, because you're making yourself heard. You are making yourself audible. I remember my time, when I say my time, when I went to the field, that was about 55 years back. We didn't have mics. Suppose I have to address a village level meeting or a crowd which is turning violent to control them, I used to shout at the top of my voice. We did not even have a megaphone because we were rushing. Megaphone came later. They brought it. But the moment they hear your voice, a booming voice, the entire crowd comes to a standstill. They want to listen to you. Same way, even in the UPSC interview, you can raise your voice. In your case, I think 2-3 decibels you will have to raise it. It will be more effective. So just remember body language and voice raising also. Otherwise, the form and content of your presentation is very good. You are able to bring in all the facts, figures, everything you are able to. When I talk about the security situation in the country, try to follow a method. The method is very simple. I said security situation in the country. I didn't say border. Now, what is this country? It is land, water, and space.
Yes.
Space is giving a threat today. Space is getting weaponized. You completely omitted it. Yes. The 360 degrees angle. And the method I want you to follow in such a situation is visualize India. So you start from the west. You started correctly, Pakistan, China. Then you went to Arakan Valley, Myanmar. In between is Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh. You came later. You came back to Nepal. Then, okay, up to Myanmar, you are gone. In between, of course, you mentioned about Afghanistan. Do we have border with Afghanistan?
Yes, sir, we have, but that area is taken up by POK.
It is in POK. That's right. Absolutely correct. So we complete the land borders at Myanmar, then come into the maritime area where we have Sri Lanka and Maldives. It could be a threat tomorrow. We don't know. Today it is not a threat, Maldives, but it could be a threat at the behest of China. And everybody is looking at space silently today because space is getting weaponized. The satellites, they are a threat. Cyber, most cyber crimes are committed through the satellite links. See, that is also an additional factor. So the 360 degrees look and follow an order. Then they will also, you see, the moment you start talking about Pakistan, China, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Myanmar, then coming down to Maldives, Sri Lanka, they also travel with you. That's why I said you have to involve me in your dialogue.
Yes,
if you go in that order, you see, otherwise, from Arakan Valley, I was again going back to Nepal. A particular security, particular order, this will be more presentable. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Then I gave you purposely 2 situational questions. One is on the atrocities on women. The other one is on corruption in your own office. The first, see the atrocities on women. See, whatever be the kind, first you will have to verify the complaint. Very important in government. It may be 100% genuine, but your process of verification cannot be avoided. How do you verify? People in the field, your own fellows, what they were doing? They were sleeping. They never reported this to you. That's why they came rushing. I'm sure they must have knocked down everywhere. Nobody listened. They came running to you from the village. So first, the veracity of the complaint, not only the veracity, the contours of the complaint, the length and breadth of the complaint, which those ladies were not able to tell you because they are unpad. Crime is committed against them, they come and report. They are affected. But it has so many ramifications on the children. It has a ramification. All these things, unless you inquire. So first, the moment you come across a complaint, size up the situation. Call for the report immediately, then and there. Summon that guy who is in charge. It could be a Gram Pradhan of the village panchayat, or a village level officer, a revenue officer, or a BDO. Because BDO is of social development in that area. This is not only a criminal case, but there is also your social deprivation. Not treating them equally, committing atrocities against them, in spite of spreading awareness all over. This is happening. So verify the complaint. If required, you can go to the spot, depending upon the seriousness of the situation. But you should always depute somebody to go to the spot. Nothing like a spot inspection. Size up the situation, a spot inspection. You can't rush to, because every day there'll be hundreds of complaints like that. You can't be rushing to 100 places. As I said, depending upon the gravity of the situation, I will carry out a spot inspection. If required, I will go myself. If required, underline. You tell the people. Then they know, yes, you're alert. You're looking all around and the complaint is coming. And try to involve the local people. You said Gram Panchayat, the politician, very important, because it is a social problem. And the police, are they not aware of this? Were it reported? Or if reported, what action they took? Did they suppress it? Crime suppression is very common in villages. Why they do? Not because they want to favor the other party. They want to suppress the crime because the record will be clean. They do that. It's a very common thing. Unless and until the inspecting officers, supervisory officers go and check these thoroughly, crime will always be suppressed in the rural areas. And it takes efforts for them to come and complain to you, or even complain to the SDM, SDOs and things like that. So you will have to involve all the agency. The moment a complaint of this nature comes, corruption, you have to take action immediately, because it is a reflection on your governance. Under your nose, this is happening. So first find out immediately the cause. If it is happening at the counters of the RTO in accepting the road tax, or the municipal authorities in accepting this thing, get the commissioner of the municipality, executive officer of the panchayat, the RTO, summon them, put them on the mat. How this is happening? Did you supervise? What is the remedial measure? You rightly said, today, lot of remedial measures. Number one, digitize. Don't allow interfacing of public with such counter officials. Avoid that level of people coming to the counter. Digitize it. They can pay it at the bank. They can pay it online, so that their visit to the government office is minimized as far as these routine work is concerned. CCTV camera, that's a fear that will instill a lot of fear into them, because they are watched. If there is no camera, merrily they will just demand, give me money. To pay 1,000 rupees tax, you have to pay 5 rupees, 10 rupees as speed money. Not done. So you have to think like, that's why I gave you that situational, which they ask situational questions. Many times they are similar, very simple, not that these questions are asked only for civil service aspirants. Even a citizen can answer these questions, because Every day they have an interaction with the government office for citizen services, and large number of citizen services today are digitized. The lot. And unlike in the past, for everything you have to go to the government office. That is avoided today because of digitization. Then another, yes, you brought in an important thing about reservation.
Yes.
Did we talk about reservation?
Yes, sir.
No. Okay. Then we also talked about initially. My first question was why this? Yes,
Yes.
evolving. That itself I answered then and there. It's an evolving society, and it is happening. Don't say that it is happening in the West and we are following. No, sir, it is happening all over the world. Similar things are happening as we grow economically and socially. These things happen. But in spite of economic development, there are people who are deprived. The benefits have not reached them. For them only we have identified and given them reservation. It is a social and economic justice which is granted in the Constitution. There is absolutely no objection to continuation of this reservation policy. That is the government's view, which you should also endorse. And diary writing, yes, people will ask about, I mean, what do you gain from the diary? You see, it is not document writing. I record my, I do so much preparation. I want to record that preparation, how well I'm doing it, and what are the ways to improve my preparation, so that tomorrow a friend comes to me and asks guidance, I'll show my diary. Look, this is what I have done. Look at the method which I follow. So that is where your diary writing helps. It is not merely accounting or documenting. It is, I record my excitement. I record my reflections, and I record them freely. This is what they used to talk about Anne Frank's diary. You see, but for her diary, many of the atrocities would not have come to notice. It was a great revelation, that diary of Anne Frank at that time. Same way your diary also. I value it very much. If they ask you, why are you doing it? Sir, I value it very much because it gives me excitement when I write my diary. It's a reflection of me. And I write freely. It's not a formal writing. It is not merely recording events. It is events plus. This is what we should say. Okay, Deepika, these are all the points. Compared to what you were last time, you're much better. Now, your presentation is, as I said, the content is very good. You've been able to bring in all the facts, most of the facts. And when I say precise, be precise. 2, 3 bullet. If you say bullet points, good enough. You don't have to. See, what they want is not an explanation. What they want is the core, understand the subject of the issue, and what is your reflection? Like the takeaways from COVID management.
Yes.
They will ask very, in fact, 2021, 22, a lot of questions were asked on COVID management and how the civil servants played a role in that. They're not doctors. Medical personnel, of course, did yeoman service at that time. Doctors, nurses, the paramedical staff, they did fantastic things. But what were the civil servants doing? Equally good work. The way they organized, the way they looked after the migrants. You see, another takeaway is the migrant issue. Now we know how to manage it. We failed in the beginning. We didn't know that there could be a problem like this. The migrant problem, running away from their workplace because there is no work. Running away to their village where there are no facilities. So they were in between the deep sea and the devil. Poor people, they were caught very badly, and we didn't know how to look after them because we were new to this problem, but slowly managed. Today, there are laws, there are acts, rules to look after these migrants. Whenever there is a calamity, how do we house them? How do we feed them? How do we shelter them? What are the welfare activities which we should plan ahead whenever there is, you talk about such calamities, all those things. These are all the takeaways. That is all from my side today. If you have any questions, when is your interview?
Sir, on 16th.
16th. And 16th is not far away, another 5 days. And you're all prepared?
So I'm revising as of now, and I'm not taking anything new except for current affairs, and I'm just revising.
Just watch the headlines. You don't have to go deep into what is going to happen the next 5 days. Just watch the headlines, what the headlines talk about, a new problem or the old problem. Just this thing, relax. You've done enough preparation. As I said, any question, try to find out why they asked this question, to know your view. Not an answer. It's not a quiz at all. It is a meaningful dialogue. How do you approach that issue or a problem? It could be a regional problem, Northeast. It's a regional problem. You summed it up nicely. It is detached. We never bothered. There is no economic equality. Infrastructural developments are abysmal, low. We have to do a lot and bring them into the mainstream. They always feel neglected. In Delhi, Punjab and all, they are even ill-treated. We call them behind their back and call them Mongolians, Chinese looking. No. Our value system has to change. Our attitude has to change. They are part of India. They are India. How the Manipur problem came? It is between them. You see, the whole region is so neglected. Between them, there are inequalities. It is not Manipuri versus non-Manipuri. It is within Manipur. You see, it's a very peculiar problem, the Manipur problem. Within two tribals in Manipur, not a intra problem. That is what they will ask. For example, Palestine issue. It is not, today's problem is not a problem between Palestinians and Israelis. There is a third actor. Who is that third actor? Tell me.
The European, the UK.
Hamas.
Hamas, okay, sir.
Hamas is not Palestinian. Hamas is not Israelis. He's a third actor, a non-state actor, a rebel group, a terrorist group, which is also keeping the Palestinians under control. See, they brought more damage to Palestine. See, it's a new angle. This is how you should look at problems. They will appreciate if you give that point of view. It is not a history. You see, you may say historically, yes, things, but suddenly the scenario changed. Hamas came and spoiled everything. They spoiled the peace talks. They passed the third party. They avoided the third party intervention. They allowed America to come in because of their action. They made UK to come in. And now it has escalated everywhere. The whole of Middle East is burning. 25,000 people killed for nothing. See, normally wars are fought between enemies. Here, enemy, Palestine and Israel, but they are not fighting the war. Hamas has engineered the war. This is how you must look at any issue. Is there a different, why they are asking me this question? You will find there is a dimension. And what is my view? You should always give your view on any issue. And it should be a politically correct answer. Don't give any controversial answer. They don't like controversial answers. And don't criticize government policies, because government policies are always good. Budget could be another area of questioning. What are the new
Yes, sir.
schemes? What relief that will provide? Do you think it will increase the GDP? Do you think the per capita income of the common man will go up? What are the special measures? And what is the magic number they were talking about in the budget? You know, there is a magic number, 1111111.
Yes, so there is around 11 crore of capital investment they have introduced, which is 11.1% of the total GDP. This I
And
can.
the total outlay, size of the budget, find out. There's a magic number. Is budget mentioned in the Constitution?
So the word budget is not mentioned. It is mentioned as annual
But all of
financial.
us talk about budget.
Yes,
What is mentioned in the Constitution?
annual financial statement.
Annual financial. See, that shows your interest in the subject. I mean, that is what they try to find out. If you're a book, annual financial statement, you talk about budget, but then the common usage is budget. Okay, the finance minister came in for appreciation, not only for her budget, but also the sari which she was wearing. What is that, sir? What is so unique about that sari?
Sir, I have not noticed. I have to see
It
this.
is a Pochamballi sari. It came in the newspapers. I read it, which is a speciality in Andhra Pradesh. Pochamballi. Like Moga you have, Tangail you have. So this is the Pochamballi sari of, or you have Mysore silks, Kanjipuram silk. This is Pochamballi sari, known for its warp and weft, the design, and the tie and dye, which they use, the technique which they use for coloring and all those things. Very interesting. That means you're looking at, that's also important. The presentation which she gave, fantastic. The way she presented the budget, both the content and the form in which she presented it. The highlights of the budget, go through. There could be a lot of questions because a lot of new schemes or new names. Some schemes are old, but they were given a very attractive names. And so budget is another important thing. Like this, try and recapitulate what all can come. Your DAF itself is a question bank. Most questions will come from out of directly from DAF or DAF related. Why it is garden city. And your activity, one of the activities you participated is gardenia, is it? Something like that. Why? Is it still a garden city? Why it is so different, Bangalore from other places? Why other places are not becoming garden cities? What is lacking? I mean, this is how questions are framed. To look around your 360 degrees view. So think in those things, relax. 6 days or 5 days, just relax. Go with, you have a lot of confidence in you, the way I have noticed, you will do well.
So,
Yeah.
so the one feedback I've been getting from most folks is that you don't smile while giving answers. You should
It
smile.
is less. In fact, you did.
Sir,
I
when
noticed, but yeah.
So naturally, like my personality is such that when I give answers, I tend to remain serious, and I think that is there in me. From my father, it has come, but
It's a bit difficult to change, but try and at least beginning and end.
yes,
When you
I'm
end,
trying my best
you
to
must smile.
smile.
When you end the answer, you must smile.
Yes.
Sir, I have delivered my presentation. Smile.
Mm.
At least you develop this skill in the next 4 5 days. Look at yourself in the mirror, ask the same question which I asked, try and give the answer.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
After completing an
smile.
answer, I will smile. That I
Yeah,
can do.
smile, answer. Record it and see whether you are really smiling or not, whether it is noticeable or you're smiling in your heart. No, it has to be from your face.
Yes.
It is the mind which should get reflected, not a little bit of practice. And they don't want serious civil servants. They want cheerful civil servants. They want their actions to be rough and tough, to deliver goods, fine, but then cheerful disposition. Then only you will be communicative. You have to be communicative. Very important. In civil services, most of them are communications. Your word of command. How do you? You see, you will be able to run a scheme without funds. You can. How do you do that? Involve everybody. Get public contribution. So what if government funds don't come? In fact, I have done that. It's very easy. The villagers wanted a road. Funds were coming next year. They wanted immediately. I said, okay, there is something called a Sharam Dan. Come, I will come and pick up the pickaxe and the shovel and this thing, work with you. Are you ready? This 100 fellows raised their hand. But when I really started the work, 500 people came. It's possible. You can involve them. Anything else? Deepika, I think suddenly the connectivity is gone. Yeah, the
So some network issue. Yes.
connectivity was off for some time. Now, what I was trying to tell that communication very important. For that, you'll have to raise your voice, body language, smile in your face. And when you finish,
I'll
also
try.
be happy.
I'll try
Practice.
this one.
It's not difficult. Practice.
And
Anything
the
else?
hand movement, I have a little bit. So that will not be a problem.
Say
A
again.
very normal level of hand movement I have while speaking. So will that be a problem?
Use. This thing is nothing. Body language is the see. One is a language per se, which is verbal, and there is a non-verbal communication, which is body language, expressions in your face. See, they also communicate. You can remain serious, but people don't know whether you're registered it or not. Is your mind speaking? They can't make out if you are serious. The mind can speak only when the face is also equally reflective. That is why verbal and non-verbal are both are equally important. And till you go for the personality test, in between, you want to ask something, you can always contact me. They will give you my number anytime you can. Last minute, you may think that suppose this question is asked, this is the answer, whether it is adequate. How do I refine it further? You can feel free because we are your mentor. We will be very happy when you get selected because part of our inputs have gone into your making into the civil service. So we feel very, very happy and we will be obliged to situation. I'm sure you will do well and wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
I'll try to do my best.
Are you happy today on your performance and the feedback?
Yes, sir. I'm happy.
Okay, good.
I'll try to build more on my smile and the non-verbal gestures. I'll try to work on that.
Okay, Deepika. All the best.
Thank
Right?
you, sir. Thank you so
Okay.
much.